Hi guys. All right, well, I have traded in my coffee mug for a water bottle. and partly because the rest of my coffee is cold right now, and so I have a water bottle. Very fitting after the last video, wouldn't you say? All right, so this is going to be video 4 of my pause today. And what I want to do really quick is share some scriptures with you, okay? And these are going to touch on what we talked about already. The first one I'm going to talk about is in Romans, okay? Romans 12:1. Listen to what Paul says. I beseech you. That's begging. That's pleading. Paul is saying, I'm begging you. Okay? He's encouraging them. I beseech you, therefore, brethren, by the mercies of God, that you present, that's a presentation, your bodies, that's your temple, a living sacrifice. Okay, let's stop right there. How can a sacrifice be living? When you think of sacrifice, do you not think of death? All right, how is that possible? Okay, a living sacrifice. The sacrifice is extremely important because sacrificing on the altar in the most holy place, right, there is the light burning all the time. What is upon the altar at the most holy place? What is the incense that's rising from the altar? Prayers. What do you do in your most holy place? What is it about your prayer? And what is prayer? Guys, it's conversation. It's messaging you and the Lord. Prayer is communication between Him and you. When you're speaking with someone that you can actually physically see in front of you, you're having dialogue, a two-way communication. With the Lord, your two-way communication, it's in prayer. Want to know a red flag about why you may not be hearing from the Lord? And I would ask you, are you in prayer? If you're not in prayer, don't expect two-way communication. I can tell you from my personal experience, every night, the lengthy more prayer I have with the Lord before I go to bed, the more I hear Him in the night. I don't know why. I mean, it's beginning something, and then I just keep hearing it. A lot of times, me seeking Him brings me my communication. Guys, He's waiting upon you to come to Him. He's bidding you come. Why do you think it is that in so many instances, if we go back to Isaiah 1:18, what's the first word we find there? Come. And let us reason together. You, Him. If you don't reach out to Him, you stay apart. And apart can't be together. Do you want to know why it's as important? Because your ability to witness is based upon the fact that you have eyes to see and ears to hear. Right? If you're not intercepting, receiving from the give in connection of intimacy, how else do you think you will be prepared? If you're sitting on your end and you're waiting, you got to move closer. I've heard many people say, I'm waiting on the Lord. And I say, what are you waiting on? And they'll say, I don't know. I just feel like that there's something I'm supposed to know. I'll know when I know it. And I say, well, what are you doing to receive it? And they say, I don't know what you mean. I said, how are you preparing yourself? If He were to show you, if He were to reveal to you, would you hear Him? And they'll say, I don't know. And I said, well, tell me when you've heard Him before. And they can't. They cannot give you an example of being led by the Spirit in any way, form, or fashion. But yet they're waiting. What they're doing in their own foolish mind, guys, if you see somebody like this, I hope you're not this. Okay? You need a swift kick. Okay? If this is you. Alright? And this may feel like a rebuke. What you need to do, if this is you, or what you need to do if this is someone else, encourage them to move closer. Encourage them to be monitoring their relationship in communication with the Lord. If you're not speaking to God, don't expect to hear. All right, let's read this again. I beseech you, therefore, brethren, by the mercies of God, that you present your bodies a living sacrifice, holy, acceptable to God, which is your reasonable service. Reasonable. We talked about this in the other video. Reason. Reason can mean thought. Reason can mean will. In the will of God, the pursuit of God, your reasonable service comes from a reasonable God. The reasonable God has been together with you, going over in communication with you what your choices are. And do not be conformed to this world. You're a vessel, and you're being molded by something. You either are in the Master's hand, that king, or you're in the worldly kingdom, Master's hand. All right? If you're there in the Master's hand of the world, you're going to be conformed into the likeness of Him, the world. What will that look like? Pure destruction. It isn't anything beautiful. Okay? Only with God are we beautifully and wonderfully created and made. Wonderfully made by the Creator. You can't be in the world and expect to be recreated anew. Death can't bring about life in the worldly kingdom. It only breeds more death. If you're waiting to get new, if you're waiting to get filled up in the world, you will never find it. Its desire is destruction. Its desire is to change you, all right. Its desire is to alter you and change your form that God beautifully made for you. The form and the figure and the image that the Lord wanted for you is not the one you're going to find in the world. You cannot be conformed to that image. But you got to know what that image is. Do not be conformed to this world. So how do we not become conformed to that image? Paul tells us, but be ye transformed. That's changed. A transformer. Have you seen a transformer? There's a movie, I think, out right now, Transformer. Don't let it fool you guys, these worldly pictures. You are the transformer they do not want in the world. You are what the transformer is battling. There's two sides to this transformer. There's the one that the earth or the world knows you can become, and there's the one you become. One is fighting you from becoming it. One voice is keeping you from it. The other one wants to change you by its message. How do we become transformed? Paul says, be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. Why the mind? Why the mind? Because that's where this all started. Your giant. Do you remember the word in giant? Great size and strength. Goliath. Statue. Please remember that. Giant statue. Opposition. Hostility. Anti or anti. We're going to get into that more. A tall troll. Man-eating ogre. Demon. Monster. Dragon. Evil spirit. Dead spirit. Memory. Remember. Memorial. Mind. This all started in the mind, which is why you must be transformed through the mind. The mind. Why does it all start in the mind? Have you ever wondered? You know why? We process communication and language through the mind. Through the mind. The mind is the process by which all of your senses work. If your mind, brain dead, guys. Brain dead. If you are brain dead, do you know what happens? Your body shuts down. You cannot function. That is the desire of sin. Because then you have no voice. You have no purpose. You have no will. You have no life. There is no life in death. All right? So, we're transformed by the renewing of your mind. Why? That ye may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of God. You, in your transformed mind, you are now showing and are proof of the will. What are you proofing? What are you proving? Purpose, potential, and productivity. If God sees this in you, and you see this in you, and God builds this in you, you will in turn give others the same thing in them. See, your vision of you comes in how God sees you, based on your mind's image of you. You can tell someone who is sinning that God can see them as brand new if they will just not become a sinner and get redeemed by the blood, and that is as foreign to them as anything. Because when you're in the midst of sin, you can't even begin to understand how to clean up your act. The good thing about it is that you don't have to know how to do it. You just have to be willing to hate what you're doing enough to get out of it. Well, 15 minutes is up again. I'll hopefully see you in the next video. Hang in there with me.